Where does Steven Seagal fall in that line?
He is a legitimate Aikido black belt.
The martial arts world had two legends with opposite legacies, one documented, one shrouded in myth. When they stepped on the same mat, the room went silent. No showmanship, no cameras, just skill versus skill. The spectators didn't cheer, they held their breath, because they knew only one man would leave that mat with his legend intact. The martial arts world had always debated it. Two names, two legacies, both legendary but in opposite ways. Steven Seagal, documented, disciplined, undeniable. A 7th-degree black belt in Aikido, trained in Japan, the first Westerner to run a dojo there. Hollywood turned him into a star, but martial artists respected him first. Frank Dux, shadowed, elusive, electric, a man whose name came to life through Bloodsport. He claimed to have fought in the Kumite, a secret tournament that no one could prove existed, yet no one could fully discredit either. His story inspired believers. His mystery fueled critics. And then, one day in North Hollywood, they met. No cameras, no crowd, no media, just the sound of feet on tatami mats. A private exhibition, closed to the public, watched only by masters, stuntmen, and those who lived and breathed martial arts. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't scripted. It was real. What followed was not a brawl. It was a chess match, raw skill, timing, and instinct. For years, rumors have swirled. Some say Seagal crushed him. Others say Dux held his own. But only those who were there knew the truth. And today, we're going to tell you what really happened. But be warned, it didn't end the way anyone expected. In the shadows of North Hollywood, behind a door known only to a few, something rare unfolded. Something the martial arts world still debates in whispers. It wasn't filmed, it wasn't announced, it was never meant to leave the room. Two men entered, both feared, both revered. Steven Seagal, a towering presence, forged in the dojos of Osaka, calm as a still pond but built like a fortress. His movements, measured, exact, had brought real Aikido to Hollywood long before movie magic touched his name. Opposite him stood Frank Dux, a man born of myth, his legend sparked by Bloodsport, his techniques whispered to descend from ninja clans and secret tournaments. Where Seagal brought clarity, Dux carried mystery. That day, they didn't come to entertain. There was no crowd, only silence and sweat. Among the quiet observers were real fighters, men who understood distance, leverage, discipline. They weren't there to cheer. They came to witness. The air was thick, not with drama, but with history waiting to be written. This wasn't an exhibition. It was a reckoning between two legends who never expected to face each other in flesh. They bowed. They took their stances. And with no warning, the storm began.
The invitation was discreet, just a folded note, passed between hands familiar with silence. A private martial arts summit, held in a modest training hall tucked between warehouse spaces and casting offices. The kind of place where real work happens, not press tours. It wasn't advertised. Only the most respected instructors, stunt choreographers, and seasoned fighters received word. Not to spectate, to study, to share, to challenge without ego. But this time, ego arrived anyway. Seagal was the first to step through the entrance, wearing a plain black gi, sleeves rolled back. His presence filled the room before his voice ever needed to. No entourage, no cameras, just a man walking with deliberate ease, like the ground adjusted to his pace. Moments later, Dux entered. Lighter on his feet, more compact, alert like a blade unsheathed. His white gi fit snug, his movements precise even while warming up. No words passed between them beyond a nod. Not friendly, not hostile, just aware. The others felt it, two opposite energies in the same space. The instructors in attendance exchanged glances. Some whispered. A friendly exchange of techniques had been the original plan, but now something else was forming. And when the referee stepped forward to outline the rules, Everyone knew this was no longer a demonstration. The man who stepped between them wasn't just a referee. He was a master, a veteran from multiple styles, respected by both camps. His presence ensured fairness, but it couldn't ease the tension hanging in the room. No head strikes, no injuries, full contact only to the edge of control. The bout would continue until time expired or a clear advantage was claimed. Both men nodded. No protest, no hesitation. As the other stepped back, the mat felt smaller. Every creak of the floor echoed louder. Seagal stood upright, feet planted, arms loose but ready. His breathing barely visible, as if he'd rehearsed stillness. His eyes scanned Dux's frame, not for weakness, but for rhythm. Dux bounced lightly on his toes, weight shifting left to right. He blinked less, shoulders relaxed but loaded. He had the look of someone who'd studied angles more than force. There was no ceremony, no countdown, just a moment where neither moved, and then they did. A feint, a slip, a low kick that didn't land but spoke volumes. They weren't posturing, they were measuring, testing timing, range, and patience. And the moment Dux threw his second strike, Seagal didn't dodge it. He absorbed it, shifted his stance, and locked eyes. The fight had truly started. The initial exchange came fast, clean, controlled, nothing flashy. Dux snapped forward with a jab aimed at Seagal's centerline. Seagal didn't flinch. Instead, he angled his body just enough to let the punch glance off, responding with a palm strike that stopped short of contact. This wasn't a movie scene. Every move was real. Every movement carried intent. Dux retreated half a step, then darted in again, this time with a low kick towards Seagal's shin. It connected, not hard, but enough to echo against the mats. Seagal stepped forward into the contact, absorbing the momentum, and touched Dux's chest with his palm again, firm, calculated, like a marker left in place. The crowd said nothing, but they saw everything. Dux circled left, hands shifting, shoulders loose. Seagal adjusted by half a foot, reclaiming the center of the mat without a word. He wasn't chasing, he was waiting. Then, Dux exploded forward, jab to the torso, hook to the ribs. Seagal blocked high, caught the second with his right forearm and twisted, executing a standing wrist lock that forced Dux to bend. For a second, it looked like it might end there, but Dux rolled free, regaining space with a sharp pivot. No points, no winners, just tension rising. And for the first time, both men broke a sweat.
The rhythm slowed, not from hesitation, but from calculation. Both fighters now understood they weren't dealing with amateurs. One mistake could cost control, or worse, respect. Dux began to use deception. He'd dip low, then strike high. He'd flash a front kick, then retreat, forcing Seagal to respond without full commitment. His style wasn't about overpowering, it was about timing the gap between breath and instinct. But Seagal didn't take the bait. He stood in the center, barely shifting, arms open like a trap waiting to snap. His footwork was subtle, just enough to stay aligned. While Dux burned energy, Seagal stored it. Then Dux found a crack. He slipped inside, launched a tight punch to the ribs. It landed with enough snap to force an exhale from Seagal. He followed with another, this time grazing the side before Seagal pivoted out of danger. The crowd shifted forward, finally reacting. Dux had struck first. But Seagal's response was swift. He grabbed Dux's wrist mid-entry and used his own momentum to guide the smaller man into a sweeping motion. Dux stumbled, only for a second, but corrected himself with a roll and a snap back to standing. No smiles, no nods, just measured breath. The message between them was clear. This would not be over quickly. Beneath every strike now lived a question. Who would blink first? The physical clash had become a mental one. They weren't just exchanging technique, they were reading hesitation, watching for signs of doubt. Neither man gave any. Dux changed rhythm. He'd attack, retreat, reset, then repeat with variation. A feint high, a low sweep, a jab toward the ribs. His movements came faster now, sharper. He found a small opening and capitalized, another clean body shot, followed by a palm strike that landed with a solid thud against Seagal's chest. The taller man gave ground, not from damage, but from intent. Seagal wasn't rattled, he was adjusting. His stance widened, his hands moved closer to center. That's when the shift occurred. Seagal began cutting off angles. Instead of retreating, he started stepping sideways, predicting Dux's movement before it happened. Every time Dux tried to create space, Seagal was there, narrowing his options, trimming his escape routes like a hunter guiding prey into a corner. Dux, still quick, still dangerous, found himself expending more to achieve less. He hadn't slowed, but Seagal had caught his rhythm. And in martial arts, once your rhythm is read, your time runs short. The energy in the room changed. Even the observers leaned back. Something was building, and it wasn't coming from the faster man. The sweat now dripping from their brows wasn't just from movement, it was from intensity. Controlled, contained, like two grenades with the pins pulled, waiting for release. Dux launched a sudden combo, low kick, jab, spinning backhand. It was fluid, fast, meant to overwhelm. Seagal absorbed some, deflected others, backing just enough to stay upright. One strike clipped his side, and a murmur rippled through the room. But Seagal didn't react. Not with emotion, not with retaliation. He responded by stepping in. No retreat, no flashy counter, just forward pressure. Dux threw another strike, but this time Seagal was already there, crowding the space. His left hand latched onto Dux's wrist, his right pressed into the shoulder. The smaller man twisted, trying to pivot free. But Seagal redirected his movement, shifting his balance just enough to halt his momentum. It wasn't a throw, it wasn't a lock, it was a message. I can stop you mid-flight. Dux disengaged, reset, breathing heavier. The quick advantage he once held was fading, and Seagal, stone-faced, still, wasn't even close to empty. There was no cheering, just breath, just movement. And then Dux did something he hadn't done yet. He hesitated. That pause, less than a second, was enough. Seagal saw it and acted. With calm precision, he stepped into Dux's zone, closing the distance with a single glide of the foot. His left arm swept down, redirecting Dux's rising hand. His right shot up, not as a strike, but as leverage, pinning the elbow, rotating the joint, shifting the balance. Dux bent slightly, his body forced to follow the redirection or risk a hyperextension. He recovered quickly, rolled free, but the pattern was broken. Now Seagal was dictating the terms. Each step he took carved into the mat like an anchor. He wasn't fast, but he didn't need to be. Dux had to work harder for every opening, pushing himself to create distance, angles, any kind of opening that might turn the tide again. Seagal didn't press recklessly. He advanced with intent, no waste, no rush. Where Dux danced, Seagal stalked. Their breaths were sharper now. Every movement left a trail of sweat on the mat. Still, neither spoke, neither blinked.
Then came the slip. Dux attempted a low sweep. Seagal stepped around it, calm, confident, and with a subtle rotation of the hips, he reversed the pressure. Dux staggered, just a half step. But in a fight like this,
A half step can become a fall. The moment had arrived, but neither of them knew it yet. Dux, still sharp, still mobile, launched one final sequence. Low kick, jab, hook, another kick, higher this time. The speed was there, the form was clean, but Seagal didn't back away. He stepped into it. The crowd leaned forward, no one breathing, no one blinking. Seagal absorbed the pressure, his body tight with focus. As Dux moved in for what looked like a finishing blow, Seagal's timing shifted just a fraction of a second. His left hand clamped Dux's wrist mid-strike. His right slid under the arm, pressing into the shoulder. And then rotation. Seagal didn't throw him, he redirected him. Dux's own momentum became the engine of the takedown. 1 second he was upright, mid-strike. The next, he hit the mat. It wasn't violent, it wasn't theatrical, it was clean. Before Dux could recover, Seagal dropped his weight, pinning the shoulder, trapping the arm, locking down position without aggression, but with authority. Dux twisted, attempted to roll, no space. The referee, silent until now, stepped forward and made the call. Seagal released the hold instantly, stood and extended a hand. Dux accepted it. But the room didn't relax, because what came next wasn't about the winner. The applause didn't erupt, it unfolded, respectful, controlled, just like the fight itself. No celebration, no gloating, no interviews, only silence, sweat, and mutual recognition. The official verdict? Seagal had finished in full control. The final takedown was smooth, decisive. In martial arts terms, it was a statement. But when the spectators left that room, they weren't all telling the same story. Some spoke of Dux's speed, his ability to land clean, sharp shots in the early exchanges. Others pointed to Seagal's patience, how he neutralized that speed, controlled space, and ended it without chaos. There were no cameras, no recordings, only memory. And memory, like legend, changes shape. In the years that followed, whispers spread, that it never happened, that it did but the outcome was different, that someone had footage locked away. But for those few who were there, the truth was simpler than myth. Two very different men with very different legacies stepped onto the mat, and when the moment called for it, both showed exactly who they were. Dux never denied it. Seagal never spoke of it. But if you ask around, you'll find someone who knows someone who swears they were in that room. And they'll tell you, the real story is still not over.